Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to you all. I thank AMA for giving me this wonderful opportunity to introduce such an eminent speaker, Mr. Rajesh Jain. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Rajesh Jain ji. I would request Mr. Sanjay ji to kindly felicitate our guest speaker of the evening, Mr. Rajesh Jain ji. Mr. Rajesh Jain is the MD of Epitude Consultants Limited, UK. He has worked in the UK and Europe for the last 20 years and carries an additional 15 years of experience working in India with large multinationals across various industry verticals. His experience spans several business areas, including business development, HR, operations, manufacturing, etc. Mr. Rajesh was instrumental in embedding the concept of emotional intelligence in making organizations more agile and result-oriented, and has organized workshops globally on emotional intelligence and spirituality for multi-billion-dollar groups in the UK, India, Europe, and the Middle East. Paristhiti, manasthiti. It's not what happens to you, but how you deal with what happens to you that defines your life. Emotional intelligence and empathy plays a very important role in your self-image, self-worth, and the kind of relationships you build in your life. Today, Mr. Rajesh is going to enlighten us about leadership through emotional intelligence. Tear the fear of COVID. Kindly welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much, Swapna ji. Distinguished delegates, what an honor to be here once again. We all have suffered through COVID in a way or other. The scale would have been different, the criterias would have been different, but one thing we all have realized is the importance of life. People have been bothered about profit. Organizations have been bothered about their employees, people. People were bothered about planet, the environment. But the next thing which is going to drive the whole business is going to be spirituality and emotional intelligence. How do we start? So what I thought is, I'll show you a film which is around a minute or two. I want you to see what kind of emotions generate in your mind, right? The theme is very simple, very clear. Anybody can give me the conclusion that this is what it means. But I want you to see each and every character in that film and sense what kind of emotions generate in your mind. What kind of emotions arise in your mind? It's going to be an open discussion, so you need to answer. You can't sit silent.
Be like a child and be happy.
Sorry?
Be like a child, open and happy.
Be like a child, open and happy. Yes.
United we stand.
United we stand. Okay.
Solution oriented, outcome oriented.
Outcome oriented, solution oriented. Yes.
Belief in self.
Belief in self. Yes. I think my session will be over in next 2 minutes. We are getting everything what we want. Anybody else?
Taking initiative.
Taking the initiative. That's right. Sorry? Joy of helping others. Very good. Excellent. Anybody else?
Leading by actions.
Leading by action. It's all in our mind. There are so many characters. Everybody would have thought somebody will do it. It was the initiative of that child. He could motivate all the other characters in the story to get involved. And once you get in your mind that yes, it can be done, it's always possible. And that comes through your emotional intelligence. That's where you have to manage your emotions and make sure that you take the right decision for any task. So let's go through some exercise and try to understand how it works for us. So what is emotional intelligence? It's very simple. It is nothing but recognizing our own feelings and more importantly, recognizing the feelings of others. How many of you know Gujarati? All, બધા બધાને આવડે છે બધાને બધું આવડે છે. So the point is we are always bothered as a human being for ourselves. You'll be surprised to know how different we are from a chimpanzee. Does anybody have any clue? Or how close we are to chimpanzee? Yes sir? More than 99% DNA of chimpanzee and human being is same. There is only 1% difference. And this 1% difference is nothing but your emotional intelligence. We have feelings, we have got emotions, we have empathy, we have a feeling of care. Otherwise, we are 99% chimpanzee. There is no difference. The whole concept of human being has evolved with the development of the frontal cortex, which is responsible for memory, intelligence, decision making, analytical capabilities. So, why the importance of this emotional intelligence has been recognized by the businesses in our personal life and how it works in the mind. So we'll have a bit of scientific clue on this so that we can accept it better. Our conscious mind plays only 10% role in all the functions of all the activities which we undertake. Only 10%. માણસનું મગજનું કામ 10% છે. બાકીના 90% કામ તો એની મેતે ઓટોમેટિક થવાનું છે અને થાય છે. Right? It is only this 10% which is the conscious mind which works. Your 50 to 60% activities are done by semi-conscious mind and around 30 to 40% we don't even know that the mind is working. કાલે મોટા ભાઈ ગયા હતા રાત્રે ભાજી પાઉં ખાઈને ઊંઘી ગયા સવારે પાછી ભૂખ લાગી. Everything, the whole digestive system was working when you were sleeping, right? It digested the entire food. The whole cycle of digestion has gone through as usual unknowingly, right? I have seen people, forget about digestion, I have seen people who were in coma for 3 years. The whole body systems are working. And after 3 years, they got consciousness. They lived a fantastic life. I mean, I know personally one person who has lived for 12 years after being in coma for 3 years. System works. It happens by itself. So people then try to understand what is the difference between EQ and IQ. Intelligence quotient is, very important. Without that you cannot. આજે આઈએમમાં એડમિશન લેવાનું હોય તો પેલી એક્ઝામ આપવી હોય ને, જીઆરઈની એક્ઝામ આપવાની હોય, એમાં સ્કોર ના આવે તો પાછું ગયું તમારું. બટ વોટ ઇઝ ધ ડિફરન્સ બિટવીન ધ ટુ? વાય વોટ ઇઝ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ એન્ડ વેર વોટ ઇઝ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ? All your visual processing, Swapnaji, image management, all your visual processing is nothing but your intelligence quotient. Your thinking process, quantitative analysis, Google Gyan, that is all IQ. I agree, that is all IQ. But the EQ is the perspective when you identify and control one's own emotions as well as related to others' emotion, as well as related to others' emotion. And today we are in a world which is so well connected socially as well as business wise that you cannot survive by your own. You have to be in the community. You are just a small part of the community. I think COVID has given us a lot of opportunity to realize that how important and life is, right? So there are three parts to the brain. The cerebral cortex, which is, as I said, responsible for your intelligence, IQ, memory, decision making, analytical skills and all that. The cerebrum, which is responsible for the balance of the body, right? Aaj tame dadra chodo, right? You don't check what is the distance between the two steps. You automatically climb the stairs. That balance is done by the cerebrum. All the muscle movement, right? You are walking, you are running, you can run 100 meters in 11 seconds. You don't fall down, do you? No. Brain balances that. It's a coordination between the physical movement of the muscles and the brain. And the third is the medulla, which is at the back of your neck, which does all the non-voluntary functions. Breathing, blood circulation, heartbeats, digestive system. They are all on auto mode. તમારે કંઈ જરૂર નથી. 2 ગુલાબ જામુન વધારે ખાધા હોય તો પચી જાય. You don't have to. The brain decides how many digestive enzymes extra you have to secrete, and it will make sure that as far as possible you are able to digest it. So this is how it works in your body. And more importantly, when it comes to business, it's essential to know how it is relevant in our professional activities, and that's where most of the people fail. You'll be surprised to know, I don't have the statistics of here, but in UK, 75% CEOs are not from Oxford or Cambridge. The CEOs of the financial institutions, the investment banks, they are not finance graduates or MBAs from the business school. They are either arts graduate or history graduates. So, and up to a point, for an entry, definitely your IQ is very important, but beyond that, it's all your relationship. It's entirely based on your relationship. And you will see and observe, maybe you might have experienced also in your personal life, professional life, the higher the level you go, more the humble person is, right? Because he has got that emotional intelligence to understand your feeling, understand your, he can put himself in your shoes and can understand the perspective where you are coming from. The second thing is, once you are in a position to understand others' emotion, you can create a positive environment. The biggest problem today is creating that positive environment for people to work, right? આજે રાણા સાહેબનો બિઝનેસ છે. He is the leader, he is the man who is driving his own business. He will be bothered about his productivity, he will be bothered about his profit, right? But the sooner you come and talk about the employees, once he realizes that how important my every employee is for my organization, and again, thanks to COVID, they have made us realize this again and again, then you start feeling the team spirit. And once you work as a team, the business runs by its own. It is not run by any individual, right? You cannot run TCS or L&T or HCL Technologies or these kind of companies by the chairman. Of course, they do give the directions, but there are 80,000 employees who run the business. And it's on an auto mode, right? If I'm there, I'll be working. If I'm not there, somebody will replace me and the work will continue as usual. That's where you develop that team spirit. That's why we call it as the culture of the organization, which matters quite a lot. So, what happens if we don't have the right emotional intelligence? Lack of inclusivity, negativity. એક મને વાર્તા યાદ આવે છે. There was a young boy and he was roaming around in the field. There was a well and a cow. That cow fell in the well. Many people were there. Somebody tried to put a rope and tie it up and try to lift it. But this boy was very clear that I have to save this cow. People came, went out. He was adamant, no, I'll make sure that I'll get this cow out. And everybody was laughing. This is a 10-year-old boy, doesn't have that strength. How will he get it? No. Finally, he would have worked for a long time. Finally, he could take that cow out of the well. You know why? Anybody could have done it. There were many who would have taken an initiative. Only for the reason there was nobody to tell him, no, that you cannot take it out. આપણે ત્યાં શું થાય, ઘરેથી નીકળું ને, પેલો આજે બહુ ગરમી છે, જવા દો ને, આજે નહીં જવાનું, આપણે કાલે શોપિંગ કરશું, વરસાદ પડવાનો છે, ખાડા પડશે, રાઈટ? There are always, as a human being, it is our tendency to think negative. Again, why? Because we have developed our brain from that of an animal. We are animals, right? We have developed the brain from that of an animal. So we are always under the protection mode. We always fight for our protection, whatever it is. I will always take care of my body. And hence we try to protect it. Hence we are always negative. We always feel that there is a threat. આ ધંધો કરવાનો છે, આમાં આટલું લાખવાનું છે, આમાં સારું મજા નહીં આવે, માણસ નથી મારી જોડે, સ્કિલ્સવાળા નથી, અરે કોમ્પિટિશન બહુ છે, રેટ બહુ હાઈ છે, આ તો પેલા ભાઈ કરે છે. You always think negative. If you see the successful leaders, they are the one who will take the challenge, they will have that positive attitude and they will do it. And they make money. They are the successful people. Third is the blame game. The blame game. ફેક્ટરીમાં એક્સિડન્ટ થયો હોય ને, મશીન બગડી ગયું હોય, સાહેબ મેં નથી કર્યું, પેલા ભાઈ છેલ્લે એ મશીન ઉપર કામ કરતા હતા, મેં કાંઈ નથી કર્યું, એમને પૂછી જો શું થયું છેલ્લે. Though you may know or you may be responsible for that breakdown, right? We always try to blame, which is good. We are human beings. We have to protect ourselves. But then again, you have to be honest also. When you are working as a team, there should not be any difference between you and me, because we are as a team, right? You may do a mistake, I may do a mistake. Sometimes you are right, sometimes I may be right. The fourth problem is not listening. And that's the problem with me. My biggest problem is I don't listen. They say in any communication, it is only effective when you spend more than 75% time in listening. I have been always given a feedback that before the other person completes, I start making judgments. I'm using the word judgments, and I start giving my own opinion. Unless the other person completes, unless you have understood what he's trying to communicate, it's very dangerous to comment. Because one is we hardly understand 50% communication, right? It's more, communication is only the words, it's not the words, it's the emotion which you have to understand. And especially if you are doing a call over telephone or Zoom or Skype, it is even more difficult. And then we jump to the conclusions. પછી બધું થઈ જાય, પછી કે સાહેબ હું એ જ કહેતો હતો તમને, તમે મારું સાંભળો તો ખરા, right? It happens with everybody. And the fifth one is dehumanizing others. Again, the tendency. Take the responsibility. There is nothing wrong. Everybody does mistakes. Tell me one person on this earth who has not done any mistake. One person. આજે તમે નરેન્દ્ર મોદી સાહેબને પૂછશો ને તો તમને લાખો મળશે, જવા દો ને, શું કહેવાનું હોય, ચાલે છે. There are people who will appreciate, there are people who will always try to dehumanize for their interest, for their benefit, whatever it is. So unless you're honest, so I'm not saying that you should not. Criticism is very important for excellence, but it has to be an honest criticism. Now coming to the, yes, sorry.
I'm sorry. So dehumanizing is something like complaining and criticism.
Sorry?
Dehumanizing is like complaining about the other person always.
Yeah, you let somebody down. You let somebody down. Let's say we cross each other in the lobby. You didn't like me. You will not even wish me. I will have emotion. I will feel bad. I mean, at least I expect you to wish me. That kind of. Forget it. Just don't bother. The best way. I mean, what corporate in the corporate world, one of the best technique is don't give any response to your employee. He will get fed up, and maybe in 2 months he will leave the company. That is the best solution. ખાલી માણસને બેસાડી દેવાનું 2 મહિના સુધી કોઈ કામ નહીં આપવાનું તને ટોટલ સેલરી. He will get frustrated. He will leave the job in 2 months. You cannot. I mean, we are human beings. We are social animals, right? So we need a company. We need somebody to talk. If I bet you, can you remain mourn for 2 days? Can't. You will go mad. You will go mad. But the only way to increase our intelligence and memory is to remain mourn. So we have to strike a balance between the two. We have to strike a balance between the two. So coming to the COVID pandemic, I mean, it has been talked a lot about the pandemics. There were so many pandemics. આ કંઈક નવું નથી. COVID virus is in existence for millions of years. COVID virus has been in existence for millions of years. There are new variation, new strains which are coming. The DNA is changing, the structure is changing, and so this one is a bit more deadly, yes. But it is not something because of which the whole world is going to go upside down. There is always a solution. And it is us who found out a solution. In the history of pharmacy, there is no vaccine which has been developed in less than 5 years. But COVID vaccine we could get in 9 months. Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest. नहीं निकालेगा तो मरने ही वाला है, तो निकाल के मरो ना. And we got it. New technology, absolutely new technology. I mean, it was there, but something very different. It is not a dead or a weak virus which we are injecting in the body. It's a template of RNA which has been injected. And the WBC thinks that is the real virus, COVID-19, and it builds up the immunity. So it's always the struggle to innovate. In fact, COVID has, you'll be surprised. You know what is I think day before yesterday I was reading, India's GDP for the last quarter has been 20%. We were talking about 5%, 3% negative. It has shoot up to 20% in just one quarter. It's amazing. New technologies. Most of the businesses which I know from my friends, they are now global businesses. COVID has given such a fantastic platform. I don't need to be in Ahmedabad, London or New York to run my business. And the things which I thought were impossible yesterday are being executed today. It's possible, right? So it's nothing to worry about it. हवा का झोंका है, आएगा जाएगा. So when we talk about the impact on the business, the world GDP has gone down by 5.6%, 77 billion US dollars. India, of course, it is not much affected. It's 0.5. We talk about $5 billion. It's a big amount. But the kind of growth which we see, and I personally am very positive about in the market, the way things have moved up with the 20% rise in the GDP. I think it is an opportunity for India to be on the top of the world. How it is different from the other pandemics? Less deaths as compared to the other pandemics. When we define the pandemics, I think yes, it is a large number. I think by now we would have lost 4.5 million people, 45 lakh people. Relatively, yes, it's high, but there have been pandemics wherein we have lost 200 million people, 100 million people, right? So we need to live with it. We cannot stop saying this is the end of the life, right? The second thing which has happened, especially in this pandemic, is the lives which are lost are predominantly those who were vulnerable or those who were very old age. I'm not saying all, there are exceptions. But in terms of percentage, if you see, it has been predominantly the old age people or those who were vulnerable, which in a way or other, of course, emotionally does affect us, but in terms of business GDP, it marginally affects. Privilege of working from home. I was having a chat with Mr. Radia. He was talking about working from home, and he said, "Kya working from home karta hai?" Those female workers, they do their business from home, they take care of their children at home, they cook, and they keep the family sound. It's a tremendous hard work, but we have learned how to live with it. There is always an adjustment. And no widespread disruption because of the technology. I don't think any company was closed down for more than 2 months. In fact, none was closed down for 2 months also. We continued to work. There was a disruption, but then everything went all well. What are the positives of the COVID? And many of the lifestyles have changed because of this. It's more clean and green environment. I am living in a property which is near Shamal Charasta. This time when I came, I was a bit surprised. It was well carpeted, and somebody in the morning sweeps the entire road and he puts that disinfectant. It was a pleasant surprise. I mean, the whole environment has become clean. Otherwise, it wouldn't. I can't imagine in Ahmedabad every road getting swept. Right? It's very, very challenging task. Then we have developed a lot of new connections. ઘરે બેઠા બેઠા કરવાનું શું? ફોન લગાડો, એક માણસથી વાત થાય, બીજાથી થાય, ત્રીજાથી થાય, સુનિલભાઈ જોડે વાત થઈ, બીજા ભાઈ જોડે વાત થઈ, કનેક્શન્સ વધે તમારા. It's all networking. At the end of the day, when you run a business, it's more like the relationship which you build, right? So that has really helped. The third thing which has happened is people have become a bit spiritual. ભગવાનમાં જેને ભગવાનમાં ઈચ્છા કે શ્રદ્ધા ન હતી ને, એ બધા ભગવાનને માનતા તો થઈ ગયા કે ઉપરવાળો છે. They have started spending time on their own self assessment, which is the key. Right? You respect yourself first before respecting others. Otherwise, it was a monotonous job. સવારે ઉઠવાનું, જવાનું ઓફિસે, ફેક્ટરી ગયા હોય, 9 વાગે આવ્યા ઘરે, ખાધું હોય, બૈરા જોડે 5-15 મિનિટ વાત કરીને ઊંઘી જવાનું. But now you have realized that there is a lot beyond my business, beyond my money. I need to spend time for myself. More gratitude and importance of relationship. Gratitude is the word. I know for sure, I mean, we tied up with one of the charity organization over here. There were thousands and thousands of meals supplied free of cost to the people whom we have not heard of, whom we don't know, just out of gratitude. People realized how important is the life, right? And we'll discuss about this later, but one thing I would request everybody to remember forever. We always, આપણે તો બધા Indian philosophy ના, reincarnation, પાછું જન્મ લેવાનું છે, right? જેવા કર્મો કરશો એવો આપણે થશે. So that circle everybody has to complete. Without that it won't work. Reimagined education with online technology. I mean, everywhere it has become online. So now we have got courses from universities from US and Europe. You can do online courses. You can go for a month or two, hybrid programs, online programs. You get the same qualification, same degree. So I think technology has played a very vital role. And more importantly, of course, CSR was being followed in the Indian corporates, but then again, now the top management has realized that it is our moral responsibility to make sure that we take care of the environment, we take care of the society as a whole, right? And I see a lot of new NGOs coming up, a lot of new charity organizations coming up, and they have done a marvelous job. And I can bet you, had it been not these charity organization, probably the death toll would have been 3 times or 4 times. Social and psychological impact of COVID. Very unfortunate. The biggest thing which has affected is the human mind. We actually, my charity organization in the UK, we developed a team of doctors, because NHS, the government health system, was heavily loaded. I mean, if you go to any hospital, there would be 100 ambulances.
I didn't understand that.
That's the technology. I'm not talking to you, sorry. That's my Alexa. So, what we did, we created a team of doctors. The doctors used to treat the patients till 11 o'clock in the night in the hospital. They would come back, get freshened up. From 12 to 1:30, they will attend our calls, our patients, absolutely free of cost. And that's the gratitude. And the kind of satisfaction they felt by helping without money is beyond comparison. કોઈને આપણે હેલ્પ કર્યો ને પૈસા વગર કે ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ વગર, એનાથી જે કોન્ફિડન્સ વધે ને આપણું, એનાથી જે આપણી પોતાની ઇજ્જત, સેલ્ફ ઇમેજ જે આપણે વધે ને, that cannot be replaced by any amount of money. Had it been money, then those multimillionaires who have died would not have died. So one thing people have realized, it is nothing but the gratitude which is very, very important in our life. Work front, yes, a few of the businesses suffered. I mean, those who were in the direct contact with the end users or the retail business, yes, definitely it has got affected. But I think it's a cycle. Very soon we will pick up on that. I don't think it will sustain for a long time. We always find out a way. આ એક રસ્તો બંધ હોય તો પાછળની ગલીમાંથી નીકળી જવાનું. So we'll always find out a way and reach the destination. Anxiety. This was a big problem. It is a big problem, and unfortunately it is increasing. Now there is a scientific reason for this anxiety. This is my own assessment, I may be wrong. We have got psychologists who are sitting here, learned people. But the biggest problem of this anxiety is the digital media, right? તમારે વોટ્સએપ વગર નહીં ચાલે, નહીં 2 કલાક ચાલે ના ચાલે. વોટ્સએપ તો જોવાનું. મારે તો સાહેબ તમારે 2 કલાકની વાત કરો, મારા રાત્રે 2 વાગ્યા ઊંઘ ખુલે ને તો જોઈ લો એકવાર ફટફટ ફટફટ કોઈ મેસેજ આવ્યો હોય તો વિચાર આવી ગયો હોય, રાઈટ? સો ટ્વિટર આવી ગયું, હવે ઘણા બધા આવી ગયા સાહેબ. હવે તો આઈ મીન, સો ધ પ્રોબ્લેમ ઇઝ નોટ that anxiety is created, and there is a reason for it. There is a reason for it, yes. We have to accept it. But the problem is, all these communications are through electromagnetic waves, right? Whether it is a microwave, whether it is a satellite communication, it is all through electromagnetic waves. We all know that these electromagnetic waves have energy, right? If you go to any healing processes or spiritual healing gurus and all that, right? They will try, first thing they will tell you is to get isolated from this digital media. So digital media, the microwaves under which, and everything is smart today. There are people working to make it everything. હું ઘરે બેઠો બેઠો ખાટલામાંથી એસી ચાલુ થાય, ખાટલામાંથી ફેન ઓન થાય, ફેન બંધ થાય. So but there is a connectivity. There is a connectivity. Our brain works based on electrical impulses. You'll be surprised. The power which our brain generates, you can lit a 20-watt bulb. The power which our brain, it's all electrical impulses. Now these electrical impulses are getting somewhere disturbed because of all these microwaves which are there. આજે તમારો પ્રિન્ટર છે કે બધું, everything is Wi-Fi, right? It does affect your brain working. And they have done a lot of tests, EEGs, wherein they have proved how it affects your brain, right? So that is unfortunately increasing the anxiety level within us, because the impulses are getting affected. You are unable to focus, you are unable to concentrate. કેટલી વાર, I mean, I'm sharing my own experience. I take a decision and I realize what a foolish decision I have taken. આટલું મારામાં કોમન સેન્સ નથી, આ કર્યું મેં, right? So this but the thing is two part. One is you try to isolate yourself from those waves, and second is try to accept and get used to it. So it has to be again a balance between the two. The second thing is the emotional part wherein somebody in the family falls sick. I mean, I've got my own experience. The whole family was suffering from COVID. My father was in hospital for a week, for 2 days. He didn't get a bed in the hospital, right? Now sitting in London, what do I do? મારે તો ખાલી ભાષણ જ આપવાનો છે ફોન ઉપર કે આ કેમ નથી કરું, કે પેલાને ફોન કરો, પેલા મિત્રોને ફોન કરો, ડૉક્ટરને ફોન કરો, હોસ્પિટલ. That doesn't help. I mean, that unfortunately increases my anxiety. It doesn't give me any solution. And in fact, it creates a lot of problem for the people who are working on the ground. Because either they answer my calls or they spend their time in coordinating and getting a bed in the hospital, right? So we have to somehow make adjustment in our thought process to reduce this anxiety, and we'll see how you can reduce this anxiety scientifically. Access to health services everywhere the problem was. It is not unique about UK or India. But one thing people have realized, that there are many things which can be done at home. For everything in UK, especially our health service system is free. So if anything happens, you just walk into the hospital. Now they have realized that we don't have to go to the hospital. Most of the things we can sort it out by ourselves. મારા મધરને કીધું હોય ને તો કાળો બાળો પીવડાવીને ઊંઘાવી દે એટલે સવારે તૈયાર થઈ જાય માણસ. And isolation, I think that is the one which has really created a lot of anxiety, because we all were isolated for a long time. We are social human beings. We need to interact, we need to talk. I need to spend time with my friends, right? That didn't happen, and that created a lot of anxiety. These are the statistics. Let's not go into the statistics. I think we all are aware what has happened, how it has happened, what is the breakdown, and some unfortunate percentages which you see on the board. But the interesting part is this slide, wherein the psychologists themselves, more than 30% became the patients. આજે તમે ડૉક્ટર પાસે જાઓ, સાયકેટ્રિસ્ટ પાસે જાઓ, સાયકોલોજીસ્ટ પાસે જાઓ, કાઉન્સિલિંગ માટે જાઓ, એ માણસ પોતે જો સાયકોલોજીકલ પ્રોબ્લેમમાં હોય તો તમને હું સુધારવાનો છે. And it was a fact. Burnout for the doctors, excessive working. They work, I mean, many doctors, they work for 24 hours. There are many hundreds and hundreds of doctors who passed away helping other people. Psychologists, every hour they are treating a patient with the same kind of problem, in the same aura they are there, and they also get affected. Very unfortunate part. If you see, they say in US, again US is going to have a lot of health problem. One is the national health problem in US? Opinion, drugs, drug no sahab mane khabar nahi ho. The biggest problem, 75% population of US is obese, and that's the mother of all the diseases: cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, everything. અને પાછું આ નવું કોવિડ આવ્યું એટલે એન્ઝાઇટી ચાલુ થઈ, suicides. So they say, I mean, these are the statistics which I have picked up from Google. 26% of Americans ages 18 and over, they get through depression every year. Anybody here who has not gone through depression? Anybody can claim that he has not gone through depression in his life? You are the fighters. I must accept. You are the fighters. I sometimes feel very sad, very lonely. I sometimes get, ये मेरे साथ ही क्यों होता है, ये संगीता के साथ क्यों नहीं होता है, ये पवन के साथ क्यों नहीं होता, मेरे साथ ही क्यों ऐसा होता है, why I am always getting cornered, right? But then there are ways to control it. We'll look into that as well. But I think it's an issue. It's an issue for everybody. The expectation levels have gone up. So how do we do this? So based on the theoretical concept, Daniel Goleman, what he said is he created 4 pillars. He said one is you have to become self-aware so that you can do the self-management. Second is you become socially aware and then you can maintain the relationship. So let's see how it works. What is self-awareness? Yes, sir. Sorry. So what is self-awareness? Anybody?
Self-awareness is understanding yourself in terms of your strengths, your weaknesses, how you react, how you respond, what kind of behaviors you have in different situations.
Anybody else? Any other opinion? Self-awareness? Yes, sir.
Understanding your own emotions.
Understanding your own emotions. That's perfect. The best answer. Understanding your emotions. We are always aware. મને ખબર છે મને શું આવડે છે શું નથી આવડતું મને ખબર છે શું કરવાનું શું નથી કરવાનું but the biggest problem is we don't have a control over our emotions. The day you get control over your emotions you will become a celebrity. I can bet you. Again, if you see all the people who have been successful in their lives, they are the people who have control over their emotions. I mean, big corporates, one job goes wrong, you incur a loss of $1 billion, but they don't get disturbed. They don't. It's a part of the business. They continue as it is. આજે મારાથી કોઈ 100 રૂપિયા લઈ ગયો અને પાછા ના આપે તો મારો 2-3 દિવસ સુધી ઊંઘ ના આવે કે સાલો 100 રૂપિયા લઈ ગયો તો પાછા આપ્યા નથી હજી ક્યારે આપશે રાઈટ. So they have scientifically proved that people who have got high level of self-awareness can recognize people or situations that upset them, and once you know what is upsetting you, you can definitely control it, right? How is self-awareness relevant in COVID times? So one important thing which we have realized is the basic needs and the lavish needs. I know for sure many people who have not stepped out of their house for 18 months. ઘણા બધા હશે બહાર જશો તો કોવિડ લાગશે પતી જશો. They survived on their basic needs and nothing has changed. They are living exactly the same lifestyle even today, though they have not stepped out for 18 months, right? So one very important thing we have realized is you have got basic needs, you have got lavish needs. If you can survive with your basic needs, you don't need to go for your lavish needs. Second thing, people have realized that every single life is important in this society, right? કોકનો ઘરમાં કામ કરનાર જે માણસ હોય એ ના આવે ને એક દિવસ એને ખબર પડે કે ચાલો આજે પેલી બાઈ આવી નથી મારે બર્તન માંજવાના છે આજે તો કપડાં ધોવા પડશે, right? You get now somebody who has lost the caretaker, imagine the situation. So respect for every single individual in life has become prominent now. Third thing is many people have felt that my personal life is more important than my work, is more important than my profession. They have started actually building their hobbies and now they enjoy those hobbies. That's the best way to relax, right? So how do you become more, this is the ruler model which everybody would know, recognizing your emotions, understanding your emotions, labeling your emotions, expressing your emotions, and then regulating your emotions. So once, I mean the first 2 part is very easy, but then labeling them, why do you label them? So that when it reoccurs, you can quantify or qualify in what category it falls and what you would be doing to overcome that emotion. So once you have this ruler model in your mind, probably you can do wonders. Then comes the concept of self-management, empathy. Is there anybody who gets up exactly at the same time every single day? રવિવાર હોય, શનિવાર હોય, સોમવાર હોય, exactly at same time. You get up. What time? 5 o'clock in the morning. आपकी तो एकदम तत्पर आत्मा है.
I do get up at not on weekends, but weekdays, yes. But weekends, so
Weekends थोड़ा relaxation होना चाहिए ना. There has to be change in the life. You cannot live a monotonous life. That's very true. That's very true. Very true. So discipline, the whole life, the whole cycle is based on the brain works in cycles. That sooner, આજે ખાલી હું એક ફ્લાઇટમાં આવું ને 6 કલાકનું લેગ થાય ને જેટ લેગ તો 2 દિવસ સુધી ઊંઘ ના આવે, રાઈટ? Because the brain is working in that cycle, and if you break that cycle, the brain doesn't know what to do, right? So even in the Ramzan period, when they start the fasting, the first 4-5 days is very difficult. You cannot do. Once you tune your body, your brain that no, I'm not going to get the food unless it is sunset, then you gradually brain thinks, okay, अभी शाम को ही मिलने वाला है, दिन में नहीं मिलने, आज उपवास है. Then you don't feel it. The most important thing is empathy. I think Swapna ji also highlighted the importance of empathy. What is empathy, by the way? Diversity and inclusion. So from the backbenchers, empathy. Understanding what you are going to do. Okay. What you are going to do. What they are going to do.
what they are going through.
What they are going through. Okay. Anybody else? So there are classifications within this also, and they term it as pity, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. They are graded based on their level of severity. So pity is, I'm sorry for you. આજે સાહેબ જોડે ચાલતો હાથ લાગી ગયો, સોરી કહીને નીકળી જવાનું. It's pity, right? I mean, it was my mistake. I said sorry. Second is sympathy. I feel for you. સાહેબને વાગ્યું છે ને, મને ખબર છે કેટલું દુખતું હશે, ચાલવામાં પણ તકલીફ થાય, બરાબર? That is nothing but your sympathy. Then comes the empathy. I feel with you. I'm going through the same feeling as it is going in your mind, right? And the highest level of empathy is nothing but the compassion. That is where I share, I am moved. In fact, you feel the same pain as what the other person is feeling. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. So, and how do we achieve this? Again, change the mindset. Submit yourself to the paradigm shift. Accept the change. Move on. Forget your anxieties and worries. It's very easy to say. It's very difficult. You have to tune your brain to accept these anxieties and worries. And once you do that, you cannot, I mean, the best and the most easiest way is to do meditation, right? So many people do meditation. There are people who get into the delta waves, I mean, alpha waves, delta, they reach up to delta waves. Delta is the trance stage, wherein you don't realize what's happening in the outside world and you are by yourself, right? That level of consciousness you achieve. But it's very difficult. Seize opportunities to hone your key skills. Again, this is very important. Every day you have to change with the circumstances, right? જે વડીલો હશે ને એમને ખ્યાલ આવશે. હવે વડીલ થયા તો એ બધા એમના ઘરમાં એમના સન અને ડોટર શું કહે છે ને શું કરે છે ને એ પ્રમાણે ટેવાઈ જવું પડે. They cannot rule the way they used to rule the family and the house when they were young parents, right? You have to change. And find something to keep yourself positive. The biggest thing is, how many of you are involved in gardening or you have pet at home? Gardening. Pet. Anybody having a pet at home? Dog, cat? The most emotional person in your family would be your pet. Before even you step in, You got a dog? Tortoise. Oh my God. Challenging task. But that would be only for a season, right? I mean, 3-4 months they would disappear or. Anyway, so the point is, the emotions which they carry for you is actually the compassion. Before even you enter, they know that who has come to the house. And the feelings they express, you forget all your worries, you forget all your anxieties. In Western world, there are many people who give their entire wealth, will is in the name of their pet. Gupta ji, the will is in the name of their pet, that kind of emotional attachment they carry, right? How to improve self-management? I mean, there are different ways to remain motivated. I think the psychologists have a lot of good examples how it has evolved. પેલો એક એક્સપેરિમેન્ટ કરતા હતા ને આપણે કોલેજમાં સ્કૂલમાં ઉંદર હોય ઉંદરને લાઇટ ઓન થાય એટલે એને બિસ્કિટ ટાંગેલું હોય એ જાય અને બિસ્કિટ ખાય સો the rat gets tuned to it and he knows that the sooner the light is on I'll get something to eat, right? The problem is not that. The problem is you put the light on and when there is nothing to eat. So you have to keep yourself motivated under all the circumstances. Keep a balance between the work and the personal life. The biggest stress today is the competition. I mean, I was in the corporate world for 30 years and every day I used to struggle, how can I compete with my colleagues to get the next promotion, right? It's a fact. You have to, otherwise you will remain where you are. There is always a competition. The difference, not to a large extent, but there is a difference in the Western world. By and large, everybody is at par. By and large, everybody is at par. There is not much of a salary difference. There is not much of a difference in the standard of living. So there is not much of a competition. Here, there is a huge competition, and gradually that will change. Obviously, it has to change. Otherwise, there will not be a stable position. But then, we need to, till the time it happens, we need to make sure that we develop those abilities to ensure that we keep the balance of our mind. Social awareness, I mean, depression, diabetes, there are statistics available from the hospitals now that because of the COVID, how the dementia cases or diabetic cases have increased, what kind of additional problems people have started incurring. So how do we develop this social awareness? What is social awareness, by the way? Anybody? Social awareness? Facebook, Twitter, anything else apart from that? તમે અમેરિકા ગયા છો ભાઈ? જવાનું છે? જવાનું છે ને? So when you apply for a US visa, what do they check, you know? They'll ask for your Facebook account. They check your history of your Facebook account. They want to know what is your social circle, what kind of photographs you upload, what kind of comments you make. From that they try to generate your profile. Gone are the days wherein you give a certificate from AMA or IIM and saying that I am a management graduate. No, they will try and check your social. In fact, in China they have come with a social score. Every individual will be given a social score, and that would be your ranking in the society, based on which you will be assessed whether you are capable or not, or eligible or not. So social score, I'm pretty sure here also it will come, and that would be based on your reaction to the ecosystem, the society, the circle, the friends, the family. Practice mindfulness. Anybody who knows what is mindfulness? At least I don't know, so it would be good learning for me. Mindfulness, anybody?
Just be here, be now.
Be here and
Be now.
be now. Okay. Yes. Be in the present. Yes. Anybody else? Mindfulness is nothing but accept whatever is there and then start working, be in the present and then start working on top of it. That's mindfulness. Meditation you do, right? Accept whatever is there. જે છે આ છે, એની ઉપર હવે આપણે શું કરવાનું છે એના ઉપર ધ્યાન આપવાનું છે. Second is the communication skills. The biggest problem is the communication skills. And communication my emotion bow same sentence, the same communication will make a huge difference. મારો ચા પટ્ટાવાળો છે એને હું ચા લઈ આવું, ભાઈ એક ચા લઈ આવજો ને પ્લીઝ, એ ભાઈ જરા એક ચા લાવો ફટાફટ. Same message, same communication, but the way the feelings he will generate is entirely different, right? So the way we express, and most of the time we do a mistake in communication. Always, there is always a communication gap. અને પાછું આ કોવિડમાં તો ફોન ઉપર થાય સાહેબ બધું. તમે કહો કહીને પેલો 2-3 વાર તમને પૂછે શું 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 ના સંભળાય તો જે એના મગજમાં આવે કરી નાખે, પછી જે થાય થવાનું છે, રાઈટ? સો communication is very, very important. Listening, we have already seen. Focus on body language. I think 75% of your communication is through body language. We use words only for 25% communication. That is the emotions, that is the feelings which we express, right? And then third is, with maturity we always try to identify the emotions. Two things which have come out very distinctly is, the more the number of languages you know, higher is your emotional capabilities. They say the brain works in sections, so the more number of languages you know, higher is your ability to accept or control your emotions. I was surprised when I first landed in the western part of the world, why people are studying French and Spanish and German. Everybody will learn 3 languages. I was thinking, बोलने का तो इंग्लिश में है, घर पे आएगा तो गुजराती में बोलने का है, तो फ्रेंच जर्मन को पढ़ के एक लैंग्वेज और सीख लो, कभी चला गया इसमें. But they used to learn always 2-3 languages additional. Then I got to know, and I think few of the colleges in India have started this. They have started teaching additional language. I think in India they have recently announced engineering would be given in the, would be taught in the local languages, right? Regional languages. I think it's fantastic move. It's fantastic move. So language creates different rails in your mind, and hence it enhances the thinking process in the mind. Relationship management, transparency. I think the most important thing is, we always try to hide something. Always. હું માવો ખાતો હતો, કોઈને ખબર નહોતી કે હું ખાતો હતો. People smoke, but they don't tell, they try to hide. All the things which are not good, we always try to hide. The day you open up, you yourself will realize, whether you tell or not, everybody knows what's happening, correct? It's always good to be transparent. Once you are transparent, your own power will tell you that no, I need to control it. Otherwise it will remain, as all the life it will remain hidden. Fair treatment, we all know how important it is. Every individual, I think again the COVID has made us realize we have to work as a team. Everything has to happen in the team. And the classic example, not this trip, but the earlier trip when I came to Ahmedabad, there was a heavy rainfall, and my flight was next day morning. This evening it rained so heavily, the whole road was blocked. There was water, I think 2 feet, and 2 big trees, they fell on the road. Total traffic was jammed. I was thinking whether I can fly tomorrow morning or not. The way they managed it, municipal corporation or whomsoever other parties involved, the electrical cable was broken and it was on the road. Somebody would have come, he cleaned this pothole so that the water can be drained off. They cut the tree so the traffic was on. They took out the electrical cable, and this all happened within couple of hours. So where there is a will, there is a way. We always find out a way. Where there is a will, there is always a way. This would not have been possible otherwise, right? And the last is nothing but the enjoyment. Whatever you do, unless you are psychologically convinced that I am doing it right, I am enjoying it, you will never enjoy it. આજે સાહેબ તમને ઈચ્છા ના હોય ને તમને હું કલાક બેસવાનું કહું ને તમારા હાથ પગ માથું બધું હલતું થઈ જશે. You cannot sit. So please develop a habit, hobby and enjoy it. Then only it will. Emotional quotient in the business, again it depends on the personal competencies, social competencies and finally the relationship. How you kind of create a bridge between all of this. Finally it is the relationship. I think many of you are here because of the relationship, right? Spirituality. This is something which is very close to my heart. A lot of research is being done. How many of you believe in spirituality? Oh wow. Spirituality એટલે ભગવાન આપલા રિલિજન નહીં હો, સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગત કે જય શ્રી કૃષ્ણ વાળું નહીં હો. So what spirituality means?
Personal philosophy.
हाँ?
Personal philosophy.
पर्सनल फिलॉसफी क्या होता है सर? वो पर्सनल फिलॉसफी आपका क्या है?
Must treat others as you want to be treated.
Treat others as you want to be treated. Okay. Yes. Anything else? Be with your spirits. Be tuned with your spirits. But what is that spirit, sir? Can you define that?
Forms are different, but the essence is same in entire world of universe. Means other person is also, even though the class or gender or position is different, but it is like you only. Or even other creatures also, means the essence is same. It is a short.
Spirituality is far, far above all of this. Huh?
Be happy, watch
Be happy. Spirituality is to accept that there is something more important and above me. Once you have that fear in your mind, कोई ऊपर से तो देख रहा है मेरे को, you will never do wrong things. Otherwise you will always do wrong things. Unless you have that spiritual fear, you cannot be a gentleman, right? We always have the feeling, and this spiritual feelings are because of various factors. I mean, if you see our gods, Mahadevi, Kali or whatever gods it is, we always show their face and there would be an aura at the back of that spiritual power, we call it as. Forget that. I mean, when in the Indian tradition, what we do, we touch the feet of our parents, right? પગે લાગવાનું. પગે લાગવાથી શું થાય? You hug. That's it. પગે કેમ લાગવાનું? આશીર્વાદ મળે. આશીર્વાદ is emotion, that is feelings. But there is something beyond that. Every body has got energy and you transfer that energy. તમે પગે લાગો ને બાપા તમારી ઉપર હાથ મૂકે. So there is a lot of energy which is getting transferred from A to B. Right? That is the spiritual power. Huge amount of research is going on in terms of finding out how we can quantify this, how it is being working. But અને આપણે તો પાછા બીજા જન્મમાં પણ માનીએ ને રિઇન્કાર્નેશન કે ચાલુ સ્પિરિચ્યુઅલ પાવરમાં રહીશું ને તો આપણે પાછા માણસ થઈશું અને કૂતરાને ગધેડા થઈ ગયા તો પાછું લોચા પડશે. So that spiritual power is very, very important. To me, I think it is the fear that yes, there is a supreme power and that supreme power drives the things in my mind, and at least I am tuned to do only the right things. कोई तो देख रहा है मेरे को, मैं गलत नहीं करूँगा. And what is the correlation between the emotional intelligence and spirituality is your emotions are directly affected by the spiritual feelings which you carry. જૈન માણસો છે ને, જૈન આપણે, હું જૈન છું. આઈ મીન મોસ્ટ ઓફ ધ જૈન્સ આર વેરી રિચ એક્સેપ્ટ ફોર મી. બટ એ ગમે ત્યાં ધંધામાં જાય કે ઓફિસમાં જાય તો દેરાસરમાં દર્શન કરીને જાય, પેલો માથામાં ચાંદલો લગાડે આમ બરાબર નવકાર મંત્ર ગણીને પછી જાય. That is basically he is fearing something. You go to the temple, you tell God मेरा अच्छा करना, मेरा अच्छा होगा, समथिंग यू आर एक्चुअली टेलिंग दैट मेरा तो मैं करता हूँ, नाउ बाकी का भी मेरा देख लेना आप, जो बाकी रह गया, द वन विच इज़ नॉट इन माई कंट्रोल, मेक श्योर दैट यू टेक केयर ऑफ दैट, राइट. So there is a very strong connection between the emotions which you generate, and this is one of the master slide, my favorite slide, which I have picked up from Dr. Deepak Chopra's Laws of Spirituality, and each and every law is extremely important and essential, which we do on a daily basis. The first is the law of pure potentiality. Every person has got the potential. If he can become an Olympic winner, why can't I? My body is exactly the same. It's all in our mind. And how do we strengthen this potentiality of our own? It's basically to spend time for yourself. Do meditation. How many of you do meditation on a daily basis, regular? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say 5% people, right? 10% people. I will be very honest, I never used to do it, but once I started doing it, I cannot live without doing it now. I mean, if I don't do it, by afternoon I feel very lethargic, I feel my mind is not working, I'm confused, right? That is the power of meditation. There are various techniques, and ઇન્ડિયામાં તો દરેક ગળીમાં એક બાબા અને ગુરુ મળી જાય આપણે, એટલે શીખવાડી દે કઈ રીતે કરવાનું. But you should do some research, what suits you the best. Go on YouTube, Google, you will find several different techniques. Whichever you find is best for you, adopt that and do meditation, and you will feel the difference. The law of giving, we all know, again the COVID has proved it. The way we say sorry, it is not for the other person, it is for me to realize that I have done the mistake. Similarly, the law of giving is not for the other person, but it is for my satisfaction that I have helped, right? Law of karma, આ તો આપણા બ્લડમાં છે ને, જેવું કરશો એવું મળશે. The law of least effort. The law of least effort says that, Swapnaji, we have to accept whatever is there in whichever way it is there. You cannot say कि नहीं मेरे को तो शाहरुख खान से ही शादी करना है. ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. शाहरुख खान एक ही, उसको एक ही मिलेगा. You have to accept whatever is available to you and enjoy that. Otherwise there is no end to it, right? The law of intention and desire. Again we get, it's important, but then we sometimes get drifted in these desires, right? किसका एग्जाम्पल दूँ मैं अभी? हमारे वहाँ पे मालिया साहब है, नीरव मोदी साहब है, बहुत बड़े बड़े साहब है, बहुत अच्छा डिज़ायर किया, बहुत इंटेंशंस अच्छे थे, बट फाइनली वेयर दे हैव लैंडेड अप. Money doesn't play any role, right? I mean, can you imagine the psychological situation of a person? I saw it on the TV. He went to see the cricket match and people are shouting chor hai, chor hai, chor. I mean, what I mean, what do you do with the money? It's better, at least people don't shout at me and say, are you chor hai? Though they may not know me, but there is nobody who is shouting at me that you are a chor, right? The law of detachment. This is very difficult. We spend the whole of our life to earn money, and the most attached thing is money. Money तो छोड़ो, साला वो मरता होगा ना तो भी बेटे को बुला के बोलेगा, वो सौरभ भाई से આપણે 5 લાખ લેવાના બાકી છે, તને ધ્યાન રાખજે તું. He is dying, but he is telling his son કે એનાથી 5 લાખ લેવાના બાકી છે, એનું ધ્યાન રાખજે. Unless you realize and get yourself detached from those external things. I mean, it's important. I cannot, I mean, unless there is a house, I cannot live, right? I cannot sleep. I need to have an house. I need to have a proper lifestyle. I need to have a particular decorum in my house. Otherwise, it's not good. But then you need to also make sure that you get detached with that. It has been a scientific study wherein people have donated their wealth. They have lived for a longer life. as compared to the one who have kept the wealth attached to themselves, because that creates the anxiety and worry, and that anxiety and worry gradually kills you, don't even realize, right? So you keep the money whatever you want. તમારે એક પેઢી માટે જોઈએ, બે પેઢી માટે જોઈએ, ત્રણ પેઢી માટે જોઈએ, એટલા રાખો, પણ એનાથી જે વધારે છે એ તો કાઢી નાખો, right? At least, I mean, you are not going to even see what's going to happen with that money. At least in front of your eyes, you do that good work and see what's happening with that money, right? It will give you a lot of strength. It will give you a lot of satisfaction. And the last is the law of dharma. There is a purpose in our life and we have to fulfill it. Nobody else is going to come and fulfill my purpose. I have to work for it, right? તમને તમારા બાપા હશે ને તો એ તમને 25 વર્ષ સુધી 30 વર્ષ સુધી ખવડાવશે બધું, પછી તમને કહેશે બેટા તું હવે મોટો થયો, બહાર નીકળ, થોડું કામ કરવાનું ચાલુ કર, મારી પાછળ કેટલા દિવસ રહેવાનો છે તું, રાઈટ? સો દેટ ઇઝ નથિંગ બટ ધી you need to have a purpose in life and make sure that you fulfill it. That is the satisfaction that drives you, that creates a lot of motivation in you, that is the passion which you carry with you for the whole of the life, and you pass it on to the generations. I don't think we need to spend time. This is something which I learned from Mr. Amartya Sen. He is a big Nobel Prize winner. So he every quarter he comes and speaks at London Business School. So I asked him once, इतना नॉलेज कैसे है आपको, क्या करते हो? बोले कुछ नहीं, ऐसा टेबल लगा के रखने का प्रेजेंटेशन में, 25-30 टेबल डाल देने का, तो people will think that you have got lot of knowledge. So I have tried to copy him, putting some statistics so that you know that I have worked hard for the presentation. But the thing is, the things on which the COVID has changed the business model is the top 2 priorities. The first one was safety and security of the employees. A huge amount of money has been spent on that, irrespective of the profitability of the company or the business. And the second is the customer retention. We all realize that if we lose the customer, how difficult it would be to regain them. Operational capabilities, again the cost management, everywhere the cost cutting has gone through. Everywhere we have seen the companies have become agile. Everywhere we have seen a bit of retrenchment, which helps in the productivity of the organization. Again, here we are talking about safety and sustainability. Sustainability is a big word. Again, I'm not going to deal a lot in that. But what is the conclusion of this? The conclusion is, uncover and integrate what you feel. Don't get carried away with others' feeling. Every individual is different. સાહેબ ગોરા છે, હું કાળો છું, આ ભાઈને ચશ્મો નથી, મારે ચશ્મો છે, મારા વાળ ધોરા થઈ ગયા છે, સાહેબના વાળ કાળા છે. Everybody would be different. You cannot have 2 people exactly the same. Forget about 2 people. How many? What is the population of this earth? It would be 7.5 billion people, right? 100 square centimeter face, 100 square centimeter area, but no 2 individuals are exactly same. બધાને 2 આંખ છે, 2 કાન છે, 1 નાક છે, 1 મોઢું છે. In this itself, the variety is 7.5 billion, and they say there will not be any 2 individuals who will be exactly same until the population reaches 23 billion. What a variety God has given to us, right? So everybody is different. Accept it. All you can do is change and move on. Practice gratuity. I think we have seen everybody wants to do it now, post COVID. Open yourself to others' expressions of care, right? I have seen people who have helped not only their domestic workers, but people who don't know, people who used to live on the pavements in Bombay. The charities have gone there, they have picked them up and then helped them out. Tuning outward to connect with others. I think we all are in a social fabric, so connections are very important, right? Develop perspective, derive meaning out of it, try to understand why he is behaving like that, what is his position, why he is thinking like that. Foster belongingness and inclusion. So inclusion is a big drive. I think I always used to say in various different forums, the only country in the world which can surpass any GDP is India. Not because of the technology, not because of anything else, but only because of the woman power. Till last 20 years, I don't think more than 5% women used to work. Today, there is at least 30% women are working in India. And imagine if all the 100% women start working, by default your GDP will become double. You don't have to do anything. It's simple, as simple as that. So inclusion and diversity will definitely drive the businesses. Reimagine a post-crisis next normal. So we have to accept it. Jo ho gaya so ho gaya. I mean, everybody has lost near and dear ones. Everybody has suffered the losses in the business. But then we have to accept and move on. I would like to finish it over here. Unless anybody has got any question. We have got few slides, but I am keeping an eye on the clock. So if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to share my experience. Thank you very much. In any case, you will have my contact details. For any question, you can just get in touch. Thanks.
Kindness is something which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Emotions, they play such an important role in our life. Being emotionally intelligent is when your heart becomes a sea of love and when your mind becomes a sea of logic. So thank you so much, Mr. Rajesh, for sharing your tremendous knowledge with us about emotional intelligence. A big round of applause for Rajesh.